January 4th, 2026. One of the emptiest stretches of ocean on Earth, 1,500 miles off the coast of Australia, 4,000 meters down, in total darkness, a robot submarine changes course. It leaves its survey pattern and begins a 25-kilometer run, straight toward a single point on the seabed. Then it slows down and starts scanning in tight lines, 200 meters apart. That is what these machines do when they think they've found something. It wasn't the plane, but the reason it wasn't is the biggest clue anyone has found in 12 years. In 2025, a company called Ocean Infinity went back to the southern Indian Ocean to finish what the world had given up on, finding Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. The terms of their contract were extraordinary. If they find the wreck, Malaysia pays them $70 million. If they find nothing, they get nothing. No find, no fee. Their tools are the best that exist. Crewless surface ships, the Armada fleet, controlled from shore. Beneath them, autonomous submarines called Hugiens, torpedo-shaped robots that dive kilometers deep and scan the seabed with sonar so precise it can map an object the size of a dining table. Since 2018, this company has mapped more than 140,000 square kilometers of seafloor, looking for this one aircraft, an area larger than England, across 151 days at sea. And in March of this year, their ship sailed home, empty-handed, which raises the question this whole story turns on. They didn't search randomly. They searched exactly where the plane was supposed to be. So why wasn't it there? If you're new to this story, on March 8, 2014, a Boeing 777 with 239 people on board vanished between Malaysia and Vietnam. 40 minutes into the flight, its transponder went dark. Military radar watched it turn around, cross the Malay Peninsula, and fly out over the Indian Ocean for 6 more hours. We covered that night, minute by minute, in part 1. One satellite kept shaking hands with the aircraft every hour. 7 automated handshakes. The final one drew an arc across the southern Indian Ocean, the 7th arc. Somewhere on that line, MH370 ran out of fuel. Every search since has started from it. In 2020, 4 independent researchers combined the satellite data, the aircraft's performance, and the drift of the debris that washed ashore, and produced a single most likely crash point, 34.23 south, 93.78 east. That coordinate became the bullseye of the new search. Around it, a high priority zone on a steep undersea slope, 33 kilometers south, terrain where wreckage could hide in shadow. It has never been a comfortable story. In 2014, Malaysia's military watched the plane cross its own airspace and said nothing publicly for days. 12 years later, that delay still shadows every announcement. When people ask what the officials really know, this is why they ask. The new campaign came in waves. Spring 2025. The ship Armada 7806 works the zone until the southern winter shuts the ocean down. Then, December 30th, a second ship, Armada 8605, arrives carrying 3 Hugiens submarines, racing to finish before the weather turns again. And then, 5 days in, the moment from the start of this video. January 4th, one submarine leaves the survey grid and runs 25 kilometers to a single point. It begins scanning in lines 200 meters apart. The type pattern reserved for taking a second look at something. For those watching the ship's track from shore, it was electric. Was this it? Whatever it was not a Boeing 777. The submarine returned to its grid. No announcement, no explanation. To this day, that detour has never been publicly explained. The ocean floor is full of ghosts, rock fields, shipping debris, old wrecks. This, apparently, was one more. On January the 23rd, the search was suspended. The ship turned north to Fremantle. 7,500 square kilometers of new seabed had been swept in this campaign, every square meter of it empty. And on March 8th, the 12th anniversary of the disappearance, Ocean Infinity confirmed it. We haven't been able to find it. But inside that failure, their chief executive said something remarkable. If nothing else, we can say with confidence that it isn't where we looked. That matters. It brings clarity. In a 12-year mystery, ruling out the best answer science could produce is not nothing. It is evidence. Because here is what the empty seabed actually tests. Theory 1. The ghost flight. Something incapacitates the crew. A fire, a decompression. And the plane flies on autopilot until the fuel runs dry and it falls, steep and fast, close to the 7th arc. If that's true, the wreck should be inside the searched corridor. It isn't. Theory 2. A controlled ending. Someone at the controls, flying and then gliding. After the engines went silent, a glide could carry the aircraft up to 120 kilometers beyond the arc, into water no one has ever scanned. We said it in part 1, and it is still true. No note, no claim, no documented motive has ever surfaced. For the captain, or for the 27-year-old first officer beside him. Investigators cleared no one and convicted no one. Whoever asks, but why, is asking the same question the official files leave open. The mystery of who is as unsolved as the mystery of where. There is precedent for oceans keeping secrets close to shore. Silkair 185 went down in a river and was recovered within days. And even then, the cause stayed disputed for years. MH370 fell into some of the deepest, most remote water on the planet. Finding it was always going to take everything we have. Some independent researchers claim more. That faint amateur radio signals crossing the ocean that night recorded the plane's actual path. Mainstream engineers are skeptical. The technology was never designed to track aircraft, and the method remains unproven. The search zone itself never depended on it. The satellite arithmetic stands on its own. On March 8, 2026, 12 years to the day, the families spoke. The group that represents them, Voice 370, said they would never give up. We will continue the search for MH370, and we will continue the fight for answers. And they asked Malaysia for one thing: extend the contract. Don't renegotiate. Don't study it. A simple addendum, signed without hesitation. In June, Malaysia said yes. The cabinet approved a 12-month extension, July 2026 to June 2027. Same terms. 70 million only if it's found. 7,428 square kilometers remain. The exact unfinished remainder of the plan. There is a catch. The ships have other jobs. Through the southern summer, November to April, the Armada fleet is committed elsewhere on commercial work, which means the return to the search zone comes down to narrow weather windows and the same handful of machines the whole ocean industry wants. The hunt is not over, it is waiting. If they find it, everything changes in a single sonar frame. The flight recorders were engineered to survive a crash and years in deep, cold, still water. Whether their memory has endured 12 years at 4,000 meters, no one can promise. But even the wreckage pattern alone, flaps extended or retracted, a cockpit found one way or another, could answer the question at the heart of part 1. Accident or intent? And if the last 7,000 square kilometers are empty too, then the models were wrong. Or someone made sure the models would be. Either answer rewrites the story. That is what clarity means. For the first time in 12 years, the ocean is running out of places to hide it. If you haven't seen the night it vanished, minute by minute from the cockpit, watch part 1 on screen now. And tell us below, wrong models, or a controlled glide beyond the arc. Someone reading this may live to see the answer.